I am reading a book. It's called How to Stay Sane in an Age of Division by Elif Shafak. It's fantastic. I actually started reading this in September. It's now January, and for some reason I put it down, I think because I'm getting near the end of it, and I think because genuinely I didn't want to stop reading the information that it holds, because it's so inspiring and accurate to the things that I have seen, and I didn't want that to end, so I'm gonna keep going. Anyway, I was reading so this chapter is on anxiety and anxieties of the self and how easy it can be to lose oneself. And there is this beautiful quote by Soren Kierkegaard from The Sickness Unto Death, which is, "The greatest hazard of all, losing oneself, can occur very quietly in the world as if it were nothing at all. No other loss occurs so quietly. Any other loss, an arm, a leg, $5, a wife, etc., is sure to be noticed." And I was thinking about this as specifically $5, £5. And yeah, I mean, myself, friends that I've known, it's like, shit. It's like, man, I've lost £5. And then your friends kind of go where was it? And you go, well, I don't know, I had it half an hour ago. It must have just slipped out of my pocket, or maybe there was a hole in my bag, something, I've lost it. And I suddenly had this very strong image in my head of someone doing the exact same thing about self. Oh man, I've lost myself. And your friends are like, oh shit man, where's the last time you had it? And you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe before that party last week. And I don't know, it seemed kind of okay before this work meeting, but it must have just slipped out when I wasn't looking. And I think that would be such a beautiful way to communicate with people, because this chapter specifically is also talking about how we essentially we don't notice how we're feeling. We barely pay attention to the fact that we have feelings on top of everything else that is going on in our daily busy lives. Our feelings are the ones that are being tugged the most on social media. But it's just this kind of very subtle, gentle way of acknowledging, or not even really acknowledging, but somewhere deep down knowing in ourselves that we are anxious and angry and scared and confused and overwhelmed, but saying it so silently and so quietly that no one else around us knows that we're feeling like this. And the reverse of this is also, we don't know that anyone else around us is feeling like this. So we have masses of people that are basically in the exact same position and feeling completely isolated, very, very overwhelmed, lost to oneself, and thinking that everyone else around them is getting on just fine, has no burdens, has no worries, has everything that they need to achieve. And this also creates more self-confidence, self-confidence issues. So it's it breeds. If I think that I'm the only person struggling and everyone else around me is doing fine, well, that's going to make me feel shitter. So I think this idea that we could say so casually, the same as if we lost £5, I've lost myself. And really, you don't need anyone else to comment other than shit, when was the last time you had yourself? To realize cool. And it becomes less of a, oh my gosh, are you okay? Do you need therapy? And more oh man, you better go find it, or make some more, or do something about that, because everyone's in the same position. For example, I have a friend who I actually haven't spoken to in a very long time, but Mike, love you, appreciate you. I was on the phone to Mike probably April last year, and we seem to always kind of talk about depression and anxieties and these kind of things anyway, which I think is an invaluable friendship to have. But he said something wonderful, and it was like, you know, everyone really, when you look around, everyone is depressed, everyone is miserable, but I feel sorry for the people that don't realize that. You know, he was essentially saying, like, I feel sorry for anyone who feels so completely alone in the fact they are the only people in the world that feel the way they do. Because once there is this understanding that I feel terrible and I feel scared and I feel anxious and I feel completely overwhelmed by this whole process of living, it kind of gets a little bit easier when you're like, yeah, but I see that they're the same. Yeah, but I see they're the same. I see every other person around me also has fragilities. And firstly, it makes it easier. Secondly, it makes you more compassionate and kinder. And thirdly, maybe it would be like, okay, it's not so bad. And also, this acceptance of it's not so bad would probably actually spark some kind of way to be like, okay, I'm gonna keep going, and I'm going to work on it and work on myself and all that kind of cool stuff. So big up to Mike, and big up to, I just think this is a beautiful book.